Okay, everybody, today we're going to take a look at this video, and they're doing a lot of teaching in schools and in colleges that human DNA and monkey DNA are 98% the same, and that's not true at all. We're going to learn that right here in this video I'm fixing to show you. Let me get it started.
The idea that human and chimp DNA overlap by 98 to 99% has been widely used to promote the idea that humans and chimps shared a common ancestor millions of years ago. But have you considered how they came up with this estimate? One of the things that not many people know about this study is that large sections of DNA from both the human and the chimp genome were left out when making this comparison. Let's see how Minute Earth, a secular training site that holds to an evolutionary perspective, describes it.
When researchers sat down to compare the chimp and human genomes, those single letter differences were easy to tally, but the big mismatch sections weren't. For example, if a genetic paragraph, thousands of letters long, appears twice in a human scroll, but only once in its chimp counterpart, should that second human copy count as thousands of changes or just one? And what about identical paragraphs that appear in both genomes, but in different places, or in reverse order, or broken up into pieces? Rather than monkey around with these difficult questions, the researchers simply excluded all the large mismatch sections, a whopping 1.3 billion letters in all, and performed a letter-by-letter comparison on the remaining 2.4 billion, which turned out to be 98.77% identical. So, yes, we share 99% of our DNA with chimps if we ignore 18% of their genome and 25% of ours.
Wow, ignoring 18% of the chimp genome and 25% of the human genome. That's a lot to ignore. In fact, this represents hundreds of millions in each side of the comparison. Could the sections they left out be responsible for coding most of the obvious differences we see between humans and chimps? The video explains.
And there's another problem. Just as a small tweak in a sentence can alter its meaning entirely, or not at all, a few mutations in DNA sometimes produce big changes in a creature's looks or behavior, whereas other times, lots of mutations make very little difference. So just counting up the number of genetic changes doesn't really tell us that much about how similar or different two creatures are.
It certainly makes sense that just counting up the number of genetic changes doesn't really tell us that much about how similar or different two creatures are. Indeed, human DNA and gene-level comparisons are frequently made to other mammals, such as mice, cows, and even dogs with high levels of overlap. And we are obviously quite different from these animals. The fact is, the human and chimp genomes code for two completely different creatures. While both are mammals based on scientific criteria, God made man in his image and gave him a soul that is eternal.
Okay, well, there you have it. Um, I don't know if you noticed, but when comparing the DNA from the monkey to the human being, they compare it in paragraphs and sentences. That's what they're calling a genetic paragraph or sentence. Well, if you look in the very beginning of the book of Genesis, it says that the Almighty created all things through the words of his mouth. And so the DNA is being compared to sentences and paragraphs or spoken words. They just don't know how to decipher it yet. But right there, they're showing that DNA are spoken words, sentences, and paragraphs. And who knows, maybe in the future they can decipher the sentences and paragraphs into words. But anyway, as you can see, they're lying to everybody by just excluding lots and lots of DNA between human beings and monkeys to try and prove their theory of evolution when it's just all a big lie. Anyway, I hope you learned something. Don't believe everything you hear. And read your Bible. Learn. I'm going to be teaching more and more and more every day, and try to expose some of these lies that kids are being told nowadays. Thank you for watching. Got any questions? Just leave it down below. Thank you.